Welcome to Rams Iconic, presented by 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila. Please drink responsibly. I'm your host, D'Marco Farr, and this is the podcast where we catch up with some of the greatest players in Rams history. My next guest played 5 seasons with the LA Rams. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, should be a lot more, a Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, the anchor and leader of the offensive line that brought you, LA, your first Super Bowl ever. Please welcome the Rams Iconic Super Bowl champ, Andrew Whitworth. What is up, big man?
What's going on, baby? I'm happy to be here.
Oh, man, it's good to see you, bro. Have you been hanging out in the dojo? Look at you.
I've been hanging out in the dojo, man. Still getting after it a little bit. I still think I got it.
You do have it. Look at you. How much do you weigh?
I have no idea.
Don't lie.
When I retired, I made a commitment, no weighing. So I don't weigh. I just kind of work out and stay fit and try and stay in shape.
You made a commitment, no weigh-ins.
Yeah, I just think for big guys, it's like you can get frustrated by that number, and it affects how you think and your mentality about yourself. And so for me, it was like, stay with my program, keep working out, getting in the sauna, doing what I do, and you know what? The rest will take care of itself.
See, you skinny folk don't know what he's talking about. Like, the scale can be depressing, man. When you see the wrong number on there.
Well, and we dream.
Doing good?
We always dream. As a big guy, you always dream you're going to be 220 one day, right? Like one day I'm going to just all of a sudden be 220, but it's not going to happen, So it's one of those things that for me, it's like if my lifestyle leads me to being lighter and get into the shape I want to get in, and that's how it's going to be either way. So the scale's not going to help me.
16 years you played, right? 16 years in the NFL, like 30-year football career. But do you know what people do on Sundays? I mean, 235 starts. You were busy for a while. What is your Sundays like now?
It was really strange at first. I can tell you that. I was so just trying to figure out where I sit. What do I do? Which TV do I watch? Like, how do I go somewhere to watch a game? Like, I couldn't figure out what you're supposed to do on a Sunday and how it all is laid out throughout the day because I'd never had to do it before. So that was probably one of the biggest adjustments. Is like how I'm going to watch football, not whether I would, but how am I going to watch it?
Yeah. Happy in retirement?
Great. I couldn't be happier. Because
I just watched like a loop of you being mic'd up, and the part where you get the team together and you give the speech and, know why you're here. I mean, you can't find that any other place except down on the field with pads on. I mean, that's tough to leave behind.
It is. That passion for the locker room, for the guys, for being in that circle, that will always be a very rare, special place to me, and that'll never change. But the feeling of waking up in the morning and being able to get out of my bed and get to the bathroom without holding on to the walls, you know what? That's pretty good. I told somebody this fall, it's probably October, November, somewhere in there. I go to the bathroom one morning and I'm like excited, and my wife's like, "What are you giggling and like excited about in there?" And I'm like, "Babe, I just got out of the bed. I walked to the bathroom and I peed, and I never thought about like, oh my God, my back or my knees, or like I didn't have to put both hands on the wall, like nothing. Like I just walked to the bathroom. I didn't think about it, and it just hit me like I don't know when the last time I did that was."
Wow, good for you, man. How many times you like ripped the towel hanger off?
Oh my gosh!
Trying to hang on to
all the time, and then pushing on the toilet roll hanger, to get up, right? Like how many times? Oh, babe, I think it just fell out of the wall. I'm sorry about that. I think it just fell out. I don't know what happened.
See, big guy stuff. I got to go back to the first time. I remember seeing you when they brought you in, and I heard your interview was kind of backwards when you came from Cincinnati, 11 years, then you came out here, and they were talking about you because I was marveling. I'm like, wow, this guy is so good. Why did Cincinnati let him go? But neither here nor there. But they were saying that your interview was backwards. You interviewed them, not the other way around. You had more questions for them than they had for you. Is that accurate?
Well, I think I've always been that way. I got a lot of questions. That's who I am. I'm a curious guy. And so anytime I'm taking on something, I don't think of just like how I can affect it. I think of how it's going to affect me and what I need to know, and so I think it doesn't matter to me whether I'm talking about being involved with the community or a team or a relationship. It's not always what you bring. Sometimes it's about what they need and where you're needed and what they need from you. And can you meet them there in that halfway place? And so to me, it's always been about that. So I wanted to know as much about them as they probably wanted to know about me coming in. As I want to figure out where am I and who are the people I'm going to be involved with for the next so many years.
You were exactly what the team needed. I can't remember the exact play, but it was in the Coliseum and there was a turnover. And the guy is running away from everyone. And who's right behind him? You are.
Yeah, preseason game 3, Melvin Ingram.
Yes, chasing the guy into the end zone. And I said, look, that's leadership right there. That's not just talking about it. That's being about it. Do you remember that play?
I do actually remember that play.
Tell me about that play.
Yeah, we were playing the Chargers here in the Coliseum in the preseason, and I think Joey Bosa or one of the guys got free and hit Jared, and the ball came out. And that was actually our last series of the preseason game, and I saw him pick it up, and we were probably on on their 15, 16-yard line, and I chased him the whole 80 yards and almost caught him at the end. Almost. And I'll never forget, we get to the end zone, and he turns around, and he's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you possibly? It's a preseason game. Like, just let me score. Like, what are you doing? Like, he was literally like, what are you doing? Why would you chase me like that?
Yeah. Why did you chase him?
I just think that in life, like, when you're blessed with an opportunity to back up who you are and who you say you are and what you say you're about, like, to me, like, that's when you have to be able to shine. That's when you have to be at your A game. Like, that's your opportunity. If you come in as this 36-year-old oldest lineman ever to be signed as to a big marquee free agent deal, you get to show these guys, like, here's why I'm here. Here's how I got here, because this is the way I play the game, with the passion, the energy. It doesn't matter if it's preseason, doesn't matter when it is. I'm going to rise up in occasions where I'm needed. And I think, to me, it's like in those moments is when you show people who you really are, and they go, all right, like, when he tells me stuff, I believe it now.
I would have hated to be the other 9. Jared, quarterback, different, but the other 9 that weren't behind you. I mean, that must have been a shameful meeting. Yeah. The oldest guy in the room.
I love it. You know, and it's like you do those challenges, and then it always cracks me up because, like, the next week or like some other drill, some young guy's going to try and beat you and be like, well, I beat you today. And I'm always like, you're totally missing the whole point. That's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to strive to beat me every day. And if I'm doing that, then you're getting better and you're worrying about beating me. And that's fine with me. You can beat me every time, but I know how I'm going to run. So that's going to only make you better.
I felt that every time I saw you take the field. And this is why I kept telling Sean McVay, I got it here in my notes, I would never let you out of the building. I would never. Either if you can't play coach, if you can't coach, be in the front office. I need a guy like this around my football team 100% of the time. Is that fair to say? I mean, he sends the compliment back to you. He feels the same way.
Yeah, it's been really probably one of the most humbling and just affirming and things that just gives you confidence in yourself since I've retired. Yeah. Really the passion they have for keeping me involved and being around the building and around the players, and how much the guys reach out, and even coaches and different people on the staff reach out for just, hey man, how would you maybe handle this or think about this and those kind of things. It's been really cool. I mean, to me, I love this game. I love all the things it teaches you and gives you back just as much as you give it. And so, each and every week, we just talked about it. I've been coming here to OTAs and attending the meetings this year just to kind of be around and learn some stuff for myself. And we talked about me, beating the guys to the hashes before every series. Yeah. That was my thing. I was the first one on the field every single game, for my entire career. That was my goal. And
I used to see your little hand signal to coach, like, let's go.
Yeah.
It's just always just like, let's go. We got it going here.
Yeah. Just tempo. To me, it was always about how fast can we get back on the ball? How fast can we get going? Like, that energy, that momentum. I mean, people who don't believe momentum's a real thing are crazy. I mean, when you get in a game, it's like in the NBA, when you start making shots and you start running the floor and you start saying, all right, we're going to just literally keep going so fast. And you see these runs in the NBA. That's really what they're doing. And so in football, I think it's the same way. We get a first down. The next first down should happen so fast that they're gasping, they're arguing, they're fussing, amongst each other. They're yelling at each other. And while they're doing that, we're just marching the field as fast as we can. And we got them gassed. Their lungs are blowing. That's exactly what we want.
See, this is why I try to fight you on the field, because you know exactly what's going on over there. See, you're confusing us. I want to talk about the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. And I read your speech, and you said it's about being great on it and living with your heart off it. And the one word I kept coming back to was worthy. And if I could pick a word that kind of identifies with what I think of you, it would be worthy. I mean, tell me about that. Tell me about getting the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award and just leading up to it. I mean, was that your goal, or was it just something you were just surprised by?
I was always very, I had it kind of in the middle. I understand both sides of the award and what it's about, and obviously the honor and the legacy, Walter Payton, and then all the guys that came before you that have done so much in the communities. And I think that part's amazing. But it was always tough to get recognized for something that I think is just about being the kind of person that we need and what a community needs and what a team needs and what a culture needs is somebody who cares about it more maybe sometimes than it cares about itself and is willing to say, hey, it's not always about me. It's about all of us. And how can I help not just me, you know, if I'm chasing dreams, do I want to make sure the people around me who maybe don't have that same opportunity or maybe didn't get the same break I did, that they have a chance to chase their dreams as well. And so I think for me, it's one of those things where I've always thought about, hey man, when I got that next opportunity or I had this chance to get a contract, I go back to like the moments where I could not have been here. Like, hey, if this person didn't help me or this person didn't lean into me or this thing that, you know what, I made a bad decision, but things worked out the right way or somebody gave me a second chance. And I just have always sat there and said, all right, if I'm looking at a community, a school, a program that it's like, maybe they just need a second chance or maybe they somebody to just give them a little bit of love, no telling where they could get. And so to me, when it really came to being a part of the community and being a part of that award, it was really about, hey, this is just who I am. Like, I'm not striving for an award, a legacy of like being about the community. I just truly actually care. And I'm never going to walk across somebody who needs another hand or needs a little love or needs a hug or an encouragement or a meal and be able to say to myself, like, well, I hope that works out for them.
Wow.
Like, I want to be the one that says, all right, well, I got a little extra, like here, like, whatever it does to help you, like that's what I want it to be. And that's really what I felt like my Walter Payton Man of the Year opportunity to be that and win that award. It was less about, hey, how much money can you raise? You know, how big of a celebrity status did you use to do all these things? Like, I was just a O-lineman who loves playing football, who loves people and doesn't ever want to live or be somewhere that I'm not making it better than when I found it. And
wow.
That's it.
Isn't the award, the actual trophy is an offensive lineman, right? It's a big dude standing in a coat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of fits with you. It makes sense. But you know how teams are and communities are. Some guys are afraid to, I guess, cross boundaries, but you're comfortable anywhere you go with any group of people. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
I got crushed for this in 2018 when we lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I made a comment that I said, you know, they asked me, you lost the game. Like, you know, and you're answering all these questions and everyone's speculating I'm going to retire. And a reporter asked me, like, how do you like move on? Like, how do you go forward from here? And it just like, I think of, you know, I think Giannis just answered something similar to this, you know, and it kind of irritated me. And I got where he was coming from is it's like, bro, my life is so much more important than just this game. Like, this game is amazing. It's done crazy things for my life and my kids and my family and a lot of other communities that I've gotten to be a part of and do things for. But it's so much bigger than just football and winning a Super Bowl trophy. And I said, at the end of the day, we're all going to die. And of course, that's all it's like, boom, you know, right. That's all they want to talk about. Well, what I said next is what I really meant. And that was, if my 4 kids, Sarah, Drew, Michael, and Catherine, grow up and have an understanding that they don't give a crap what you look like, where you come from, what your economic status is, anything about where you live, your zip code. They don't care about any of that. They just love people because they love them, not for what they can give them, not for what they need from them, but they just love them. And they live in a place where none of that matters. And the only thing they care about is loving people. Then I don't care if you've been to 25 Super Bowls, 25 Pro Bowls, or how much money you've made. To me, that is the only thing that will matter when I die.
Wow.
And that is the truth. And so even now, like having lost the Super Bowl and won it, the Super Bowl championship's amazing. It is a great reminder sometimes how cool this game is and the cool things you can get from it. But it is not the legacy that I want my kids to know me by or by them to think that that's the only thing that matters. It is, I want who you are to people on a daily basis. That is my Super Bowl trophy. And if that is the most consistent, then I'm happy.
Where did that enlightenment come from? Because this is football, man. It's the ring, the Lombardi. I mean, I think your grandparents, where you're from.
Look, there's things that are facts, and that is you win Super Bowl championships, everyone gets some notoriety, everyone gets some love, everyone gets some attention.
Yeah.
Forever you'll be able to live on that legacy and talk about it. But there's also a thing that, you know what, to me, you treat people right, you do things the right way. You're there for people when they need you. Forever, people will always respect who you are. And they will appreciate you for always being yourself. And that's a fact too. And so to me, I always felt like Super Bowl, that's a lot of things I can't control. There's so many things that go into that. I can be my absolute best. I know a lot of players who are the absolute best at what they've ever done who didn't get a chance to win a Super Bowl. I know a lot of them that were really, really good that didn't even get in a playoff game.
And some sorry ones that got rings.
And sorry ones that got plenty of those, right?
Right, yeah.
But I don't know many guys that I've ever been around that their character, the energy they walked in a room with, how they made people feel, what they did for others. Like, I don't know any of those guys that live their life that way that I don't get people and they go, man, how about that guy? How special? Like, every single time that wins. And so to me, it was about that before the other. And I understand guys may see it the other different way. There's some guys who retire and all of a sudden that becomes important, who they are on a daily basis. But for me, it was like, man, I always want to keep that first.
Tell me, everybody in this room wouldn't want to have this guy protecting your blind side, right? Thank you. This is why. This is the reason. I was sitting on a bus coming from God knows where, and it was one of the first times I actually got to talk to you. You had headphones on. You remember this? And you were listening to Al B. Sure. And I said, what do you know about Al B. Sure? And you pulled your headset and said, what do you know about Al B. Sure? I'm like, oh, you got it. You're good. Yeah. This is a different cat. Not phony. It's real, right to the heart. So I'm glad you said that about Giannis and failure. I was going to ask you, do you look at your NFC championship ring as a failure? Because I know some people do. I mean, that's a heck of an achievement. Not a lot of people get that far. Not a lot of people have winning seasons in the NFL. Do you look at that as a failure?
Yeah, I think for me, I had a different view coming from Cincinnati in the sense that we had a lot of good years there. We won a lot, but we went, 6 times while I was there and never won a playoff game. Wow. We won 3 division championships, never won a playoff game though. So we had a lot of, hey man, we were a really good football team. We beat a lot of teams, but we never won. And we also had some teammates. I had a guy, Nate Clements, who I played with, who had never been to the playoffs ever in his whole career. And here he is at the end just trying to get in a playoff game, I mean, different guys like that where you're like, wow. And then my Kyle Williams, one of my childhood best friends, finally Buffalo gets in, a few years ago before he retired. And it's like he had played his entire 12, 11 years of his career and never seen a playoff game. So I had a deep appreciation for just the experience of getting there and then also winning one. So that year, winning against the Cowboys at home, my first ever playoff win in 9 appearances. Like, I'd been 8 times and lost. I think I actually held the record for the worst record, for a player that's been in the playoffs. I was 0-8. Wow. So it's like, it's one of those things where for me, I had a different appreciation than probably the other guys. I might have been 0-7, but the reality was I had an appreciation for it. And so then you go to New Orleans, and where people say, all right, that's the end of your road. You win NFC championship there. The call will be debated forever, right, at the end of the game. But you win the game, you have the trophy. Well, that was in the Superdome. I won 3 state championships in high school in the Superdome. I won the national championship at LSU in the Superdome. Wow. And then to win an NFC championship in the Superdome. So I won a championship at every level of sports in that building in my home state. Like, I don't walk away from that like, oh man, that's a failure. I walk away from that like, what a I couldn't feel more blessed. I couldn't feel more lucky. Like, what an amazing story to be able to come from North Louisiana, play in the Superdome at every level and win a championship of some kind. To me, it was like an unbelievable story.
It's a shame that won't make that story didn't make headlines. They want to call that a failure. That sells. That's just crazy. Well, jump to the Super Bowl that you won here. And it's against Cincinnati. What was that like for you playing Cincinnati in LA?
Just unbelievably surreal. I mean, to play an organization you played for 11 years in the Super Bowl. There were so many things that came together that week that just, it's a story. It's a movie. I mean, it's Derek Barnes and the story I told at Walter Payton Man of the Year about meeting him, the Detroit Lions player, after the game, like that came from my rookie year in Cincinnati, going to boys and girls clubs and spending time with him in the afternoons when he was 6, 7, 8 years old. And now he's in the NFL. And now here it is. I play that city, that team in the Super Bowl. All that happens in the same year that this all comes together. And I win the Walter Payton Man of the Year trophy, tell that story, play that team in that city. 2 days later, just unbelievable for it to all come together that way. For my kids and my family, like how special Cincinnati was to us. It really was. And like, people are like, oh man, of course you want to win. I did want to win. But that week was so much emotional turmoil because my wife and I had said before the playoffs, like, we're retiring. Like, this is it. Like, we'd sat down. I told her how I felt. I told her I feel like it's finally time. I feel like I could keep playing, but I feel like this is enough. And so literally it's like, we know that's it. And for it to all come together, like, wow, not only is this it, and we've said it, it's our two places that we love the most, that we've poured our heart and soul into. And we're doing this all in this moment. And so just a crazy week, and something that I'll still never forget.
Unbelievable. Do you think about the Hall of Fame? I don't. Do you allow that to
I really
come?
don't.
You really don't. I mean, you got the resume, man. I mean, 4-time Pro Bowler. Should be more. Fair? Yeah. We all know this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't think about the Hall of, with your storybook ending, your career, everything you just mentioned, you don't think about the Hall of Fame?
I don't. I mean, obviously, if you sat there and said, hey, let's have an argument of why you belong, like, yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of things that I did that haven't been done. And not only just at the offensive line position. I mean, you look at, I think Sean said this when I retired. I forget the statistic, but it's like, the amount of games I started, won a Walter Payton Man of the Year trophy and a Super Bowl. There's only 3 people in NFL history, I think, that have accomplished that. And so it's like, I think it's me, Payton, and Eli. And so it's, you're in rare, like a lot of those things put you in rare positions. I mean, I will say last year, as good as I felt, I was like, there was a couple times that I was like, dang it, I should go back out for a couple games. Cause I did end my career 1 game short of the winningest O-lineman ever. Jeff Saturday holds that. He's got 1 more win than me. Or maybe 2. Right? Yeah. So you never know. I may try and suit up this fall. No, that's not happening. But, I think it's one of those things. Like, it's like you think of some of that legacy stuff. And so I think it puts you in a position where it's like, hey, I've done a lot of things that are pretty rare. I've had a lot of opportunities that have just been amazing to be in the right place, the right time, and be a part of great cultures. You look in Cincinnati, for 20 years, they done 1 winning season to get there and go to the playoffs 6 times, to win tons of division championships, those things. And then to come here where they hadn't won in a really long time, even had a over 500 season in a really long time, to come here and go to 2 Super Bowls and win a bunch of division championships and then win a Super Bowl. I mean, there's lots of things, man, but it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, I could argue it, but I don't really want to. I mean, I think I got everything out of this game that I'd ever dream and ever want. And I can't wait to keep giving back to it. I mean, there's so many guys that I get a chance to mentor and lean on. And to me, that's what I think about right now, is what can I give back to the game and help some other guy get to where he wants to get and reach his dream. I mean, that to me is what gives me pleasure.
See, look, I'm not a Hall of Famer, but I've been hit by him and I've watched him, and you're every bit as good as they are. But I'm going to let them decide. But that's what I'm saying. I just wanted to know, do you think about the Hall of Fame? Because you should. Moving into your current job, you're on TV, Amazon, Thursday Night Football. Love that crew. Carissa is awesome. Richard Sherman must be a hoot.
He's hilarious.
And Fitz is awesome. And Tony Gonzalez is not of this earth. The man does not age.
No, he doesn't.
How do you like your new gig? How do you like being on that side of the camera in football?
It's been really fun for me. I don't think I ever dreamed as a player, and even when I first retired, that it'd be something I would enjoy as much as I have. I mean, I think, you sometimes as a player can get jaded to think of, you lump all media in one basket, right? And so it's like, whether you enjoy talking about certain things or discussing things, and I'm getting criticized for this or that. But to get out of the game and then go straight into, man, I'm going to be on location in the stadiums, in the arena, watch them coming out, all the energy from both teams in these stadiums, and to talk about that and discuss it and be in there and feel it while you're doing it. And then the crew I'm doing it with. I mean, it's unbelievable. Richard Sherman is literally, that's who he is, like 24/7. I mean, Ryan and I can't even bring up things in our production meetings because it's like, we're going to have to argue and fight, like, with him. With him. So it's like, hey man, like, let's discuss this on the set, like, because this is just, like, so it's just so great. And we all hit it off so fast. And Ryan and I obviously played together at one time in Cincinnati. And so we've been close friends, and, and Carissa's just a machine. I mean, I don't know if anybody sets a table for, work ethic and how you go after. I mean, I think she's got 72 jobs. I don't know what job she would consider her number one job, because she's got them all over the place, from home decorating companies to Fox to Amazon to you name it. I mean, NFL Network stuff. She does it all. And I think when you talk about, hey man, what is the work ethic and the attitude it takes to just chase things, not coming from being an athlete, not coming from saying, hey, I was a professional athlete who got this job. She does it through her work ethic, and it's amazing. And then Tony, I mean, Lord, the guy still looks like he's 22. I mean, I just saw him this past weekend. He's jacked. He's working out again. He wants to start dunking the basketball again.
Wow.
And he will. I promise you, he'll be slamming it by fall. And he's an absolute freak of nature, man.
Every time I see him, I call him Vampire Lestat. The guy, he's been alive for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
We just don't know it. So we have this thing that we do on Rams Iconic. It's called My Favorite Play. And my favorite play for you, I told you, was chasing that guy into the end zone. That said a lot. Do you have a favorite play? A play you can go back to that this is my favorite, or something that stands out to you? It's tough from the O-line spot.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of fun plays throughout my career that I would say are fun. If I had to say, like, probably one that was a favorite when I was in Cincinnati, it'd be in Buffalo. We ran a release screen, like an alley screen, that I caught a good buddy Jim Leonard pretty good with a good little stiff arm and got down the sideline with AJ Green. And it's a pretty good little highlight. I think somebody turned it into a GIF actually, but I caught him on his heels a little bit. It looks worse than it was, but it's a pretty funny one. And then
you got one here? Yeah.
And then my favorite one here easily is it's not close for my career. I would say, the last touchdown we scored against the Cowboys in the playoff game, because it kind of cemented the win, and that was my first ever playoff win. To come here and to really seal the deal and have a chance, to win a playoff game and get to where we were. I mean, you felt how special that team was. That was a big fist pump in the end zone. I know Sean always tells that story, and I can remember that literally in my mind. It takes me from that moment straight to bending down and picking up my kids and my wife as they ran down on the field because we won our first playoff game. Just what that meant to us.
I think I remember that. You walking off you weren't crying, but you were red.
Yeah, I was
there was emotion
moment
in there. Yeah, big deal. So you're on TV. Is it hard throwing people under the bus, telling the truth about certain guys, people you might like here, the Rams and their draft and the offensive line the way it was? Do you have a starting five, somebody you'd like to see out there right now? I mean, is it tough being on that side?
Yeah, I think, for me, what I've always said is that I think there's guys that have certain roles on TV, and that's what they want to be, and that's going to be like how they're going to be the most successful. For me, if I'm going to be on TV talking about football, it's going to purely come from a place of the passion I have for the game, the passion for the way I think the game should be played. Mm-hmm. What is the right way to do it? I'm going to study enough tape, and I'm going to understand teams and coordinators and where they come from to know what guys are being asked to do and how they should be doing it and whether they're living up to that. And so I've always said, if I'm being critical of a guy playing to a certain standard, to me, I don't have any problem doing that because that's what the game deserves and that's what it needs, and that's probably what that player wants. And if I'm doing that, I'm comfortable with it. I'm not ever going to be in the role on TV because that's not who I am, to be on there trying to create chaos and trying to be critical of somebody. I don't want to be critical of anybody. I want to talk about the way the game should be played. And if you're doing that, then I'm going to be the guy talking about loving on how good you're playing and how great it's being played. And if you're not doing that and I'm watching tape and I see it, I'm going to talk about this is what I need from you to get to that level so I can praise the way you're playing.
Wow.
And I have no problem talking about the game I love and the way I think it should be played because that's my vision for it. Whether they agree with that or not, like, that's their business, and that's their problem. Like, they could think it's done a different way.
What if it's Rob, though? Rob Havenstein.
Hey,
your bookend, your guy.
Here's what I think about that is again, to me, it's about intent, mentality, and what you're capable of. And so I'm not going to take a guy that I go, hey, man, you know what? This guy should be locking people down every single snap because that's not the reality of football, right? Like, I don't care if it's Laramie Tunzel. I can find bad plays. Like, that's anybody can do that.
Yeah.
And so with Rob, it's the same way. Like, even last year, it's like, man, you're the guy left out of everybody that's injured and you're fighting your butt off to get it done every week. But what people don't understand is it's about how that five plays. My favorite word, it's about exposure. If I'm on a great offense and we're always rolling and getting first downs, I'm not getting exposed very much. Right. It's not 3rd and long very often. It's not 2nd and 12 every freaking 5 minutes. It's not 2nd and 20 where I'm getting exposed and I'm having to face the best rusher in the worst situations over and over again. So a lot of guys don't get exposed because of how good their team is. Now, you have a year where you play on a bad team, you find out what exposure is because you're going to be put on highlight reels constantly. and they're going to get sacks, and it's going to be like, hey man, it was 3rd and 15, and we're just trying to find a way to win. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm trying to block Micah Parsons 25 times in 3rd down situations.
Not gonna happen.
I'm going to lose. And so it's for like, even for Rob, he knows that. Like when we talk, it's like, hey man, like keep things in perspective, bro. Like just find ways to help all the guys around you be better, and all of you are going to have more success. That is the nature of football, and that's how it works.
No doubt. Did you ever lock up with Aaron? I mean, he's inside.
Yeah, in practices.
Outside.
I mean, we have occasional times.
Not on a stunt where he's lined up there and
there'd be some occasional moments, but
what does that feel like?
Here's the thing, like, here's the thing with AD is AD's so rare and so special, but he's also just such a good dude. I really think towards the end of my career, if that ever happened in practice, he was just nice to me. Like I really think that he was like, you know what, I'm gonna rock with, but I'm not gonna like beat him too bad. I think that's what happened. When I first got here in like 17, 18, like I went to Sean and I was like, hey man, listen, just don't line me and AD up together. I don't want to embarrass him. You know what I mean? That's a lie. But anyways, I just, that's the thing is that later in my career, I think he was just gentle with me. I think he really was. I know he's a mean guy. He's the Incredible Hulk, all that, but I'm just going to let people know. I think he was actually gentle with me in practice.
I just want to know what that strength feels like on the other side.
I think it was more of like a mutual appreciation. It's like, there's no need for us both to lock horns. Like, let's just get through the down. It's only going to happen twice in camp maybe. And let's just move on to another day.
He's special, ain't he?
Oh
my God. Rarefied.
Listen, he's crazy rare.
Man. Well, look, Whit, thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us. This has been awesome. I was tracking you down. I couldn't wait to get you. You're a special player in my career as a broadcaster, getting to watch you up close and how people react to you, coaches and players. So this has been great, man. Thank you for coming in to Rams Iconic.
I appreciate it, man.
That is a wrap on this episode of Rams Iconic, presented by 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila. Please drink responsibly. Hope you enjoyed our convo with the legendary Andrew Whitworth. I'm D'Marco Farr, and we will see you next time.